This is a difficult concept to explain to people, but I'm going to try my best to make it super simple. And I'm sure that there will be people who are really upset about this because some people hold on to these things like they're, well, I'm sure you guys have seen these stupid tests, and I'm extroverted, and I'm an ENTP or I'm an INTP or whatever it is, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure it's really fun for you to answer those things. Um, there's just one little problem with this, and I want to include in here that I am not attacking Tib Army. I realize that he uses the Braverman test or something like that to assess athletes for being like dopamine dominant and stuff like that. Is there a thing happening there? Are there some people who are dopamine dominant, serotonin dominant, etc.? Are there people who are acetylcholine dominant? Absolutely, sure. Uh, the problem that I see here, and this is not a criticism of anyone who does this type of work. The criticism is really of ourselves, including myself. You're probably not the person that you think you are. I know that sounds weird, right? We answer those questions. I've been through this 1,000 times. You answer those questions and you say, oh, yeah, are you a hardworking person? Of course I am. Are you very whatever it is? Are you an honest person? Yeah, of course I am. We like to give ourselves the good traits, right? You know, are you really diligent? Yes. Are you always on time? Yes, I am always on time. Circle that one for sure. Um, and sometimes we're not the person that we think we are. We answer the questions with the person that we want to be more than the person that we actually are. So when you see the things that are like, I'm extremely disorganized, you're like, no, that's not me. Mm-mm, can't be me. Nope, definitely not. I'm late for all my appointments. Nope, not me, not this guy. Nope. Mm-mm. And the funny thing is, I was actually having a conversation with someone the other day. We were messaging back and forth, and he made a comment about how he's a Type A personality. And I was like, oh, yeah, me too. I'm definitely a Type A personality. And I am not lying, because that's how I perceive myself. The thing is, then I said to my wife, and I was like, I'm a Type A personality, aren't I? And she's like, no, no, not at all. I'm like, really? She's like, no. You are, if anything, you are too laid back. I was like, bullshit. So I called my mom. I was like, hey, Mom, I'm a Type A personality, aren't I? My mom was like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm a Type A personality. Don't you think so? No. No one would ever describe you as a Type A personality. I was like, what are you talking about? Chad, you are the most laid back, non caring person. What? What are you talking about? This is my mom saying this. She's like, Chad, you lose your shoes. You don't even keep track of things like when you walk into the house. It's like you walk into the house and there's like one shoe in the living room and one in the kitchen. Like, you can't find your wallet half the time. You can't find your keys. You're late for all your appointments. You don't even remember you had an appointment that day. You don't get angry about anything. You are not a Type A personality. I'm like, really? Because I feel like I am. Nope. According to my mom, I'm not. So I go back to my wife. I'm like, are you sure that I'm not a Type A personality? Because I really feel like I'm a Type A personality. She's like, have you looked at your desk lately? I'm like, oh. I'm not going to turn this camera around because I'm actually embarrassed to share it. So I'm like, I might be a little disorganized. But I tell you what, when I answer those questions on that test, I'm always like, yes, I'm extremely organized. I have everything in its place. Because as far as I'm concerned, everything is in its place. I just, as I look around at my desk, um, well, it's on the desk. So, okay. So maybe I'm not a Type A personality, even though I think I am. Everyone tells me that if I have anything, it's that I'm too laid back. Okay. Apparently I'm disorganized. Oh. And apparently I'm not on time for things. In fact, I don't even remember things. I apparently forget the appointment entirely. I'm not just late for it. I forget that I have it entirely. Yeah. I think I'm introverted. I describe myself as introverted. People ask me, oh, are you an extrovert or introvert or what? I'm like, oh no, I'm definitely an introvert. And then everyone tells me, dude, you're the most extroverted person I've ever met. Like, you walk into a room and you start talking to total strangers and you have like a 45-minute long conversation. I probably should have recognized this. I remember I had a girlfriend that pointed this out to me once. We were, I'm trying to remember how we were. I think we were at a restaurant or something like that. I started talking to this person, and next thing I know, like, I'm like pulling my chair over to their table, and we're sitting down, we're talking, and I must have talked to this guy for like an hour. And my girlfriend was like, "How do you know him?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know him." And she's like, "You just talked to him for like the entire time that we were here. Like, you even sat down at his table and ate your dinner." And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "That was a total stranger?" I was like, "First time I ever met him." So yeah, I think I'm introverted. Apparently I'm not. But I think I am. And that's what matters most, right? I also think that I'm 7 feet tall. So that matters too. And so all I'm sharing is I'm making fun of myself to make this point, because I don't want to make fun of someone else. It's much better if I make fun of myself. Besides, it's funny if I make fun of myself. But the reality is that oftentimes we are not the person that we think we are. Apparently, I am wrong. I think I'm a type A personality. Turns out I'm type B. I think I'm organized, and apparently, well, I'll be honest with you, I don't know where my shoes are right now. So, and my desk is a little bit messy. If I had to find my watch, or I Okay, I take that back. I don't know where my wallet is at the moment, but it's probably somewhere around here. And I bet the car keys are somewhere around here too. They're on the desk. That's pretty organized in my book, but apparently that's not organized. So I think of myself as organized, but apparently I'm not. I think of myself as being on time, and apparently I'm not. I think of myself as introverted, and apparently I'm not. So, I also think I'm funny, and I'm probably not. Those are some things that we perceive about ourselves that may or may not be accurate. It's not because we're lying. I'm not lying to you. I genuinely think that I'm a type A personality. Like, if you ask me, I'm like, yes, I am. And apparently I am not. I don't think I'm laid back. I've got my mother and my wife telling me, if anything, you are too laid back. The house could be on fire and you would just be like, eh. Just slowly make your way to the exit. I will say something I actually am at least aware of. My wife points out to me all the time, you are like the calmest driver I've ever seen. You never get angry. I've never seen you yell at another driver. You're not sticking your hand out the window and giving them the finger. Like, you don't get angry. People cut you off and you never get angry. I'm like, yeah, because, well, it's just driving. Like, they're probably in a hurry to get somewhere. I'm not going to freak out. Like, if I show up a minute late because somebody cut me off, oh well, it's a minute. I don't want to get into a car accident. So you go ahead and cut me off, and I'll just let you have it. Push the brakes. You go ahead, do your thing. Not my problem. I don't get angry. I don't yell at people. They can't hear you anyways. And they don't care. Road rage is a weird thing. I don't understand that, but I don't get angry. I just chill. I'm just like, whatever, dude. You're apparently in more of a hurry than I am. As you do 60 and a 30. I don't know. But yeah. So something to consider here. So like when you take something like the Braverman test, okay, I actually have a suggestion. Oh, yeah, don't stop the video. There's something they have here. I really should put these things at the beginning because apparently most people don't watch to the end, but for those of you who did watch the end, here is your gift. Your award for watching till the end is, here's my solution. Instead of you taking the Braverman test and answering it, have someone who knows you really well, have them answer it. Have them sit down and answer it about you. In fact, that's what I would even recommend for these various tests. Am I extroverted? Am I introverted? Have someone who knows you really well, have them answer the questions. Have you ever been tested for ADHD? They give you the question book, and you fill them out. And then someone who knows you really well, like your parents or a sibling, fills out the same questions. And they take a look and see, how do you perceive yourself versus how other people perceive you. It'll shock you. It'll shock you if you ever get to see the answers. You're like, wait a minute, I thought I was organized. Case in point. So, if you ever get tested for these things in an actual real medical setting or anything like that, they will often ask your family members or a close friend or your spouse, they will ask them to describe you. Because we're not very good at describing ourselves. We suck at being objective about ourselves, and that's okay. You're supposed to be bad at that. It's literally impossible for you to be completely objective about yourself. We're all subjective about ourselves. And we all perceive ourselves the way that we want to be. Or at least, I don't even know how to explain it. It's almost like there's like a sliding scale. Like, I think I'm really organized because everything's on the desk. But to another person who actually is organized, I look like I'm a mess. So, in my opinion, I'm like, this is organized. Everything's on the desk. And in another person's opinion, they're like, dude, you don't even have, like, any order to where you have these piles. I show up for an appointment 5-10 minutes late, and I'm like, that's on time. 15 minutes either direction. You got some wiggle room. And other people are like, dude, I've never been to an appointment where I wasn't there, like, 15 minutes before it started. So I think I'm on time, because I'm within 15 minutes of the start time. Like, I'm only 10 minutes late. That's not really late. It's not like I showed up an hour late. And another person who actually is really on time is like, dude, I'm there 15 minutes before it even starts. If I show up 5 minutes before it starts, I'm late. So it's all kind of a matter of perspective in a lot of ways. And so if you're doing something like taking the Braverman test because you're trying to follow, the neurotyping program or something, that's just an example. This is no way, shape, or form criticism of Tib Army. I think Tib's awesome. But I am suggesting that for you, to get the best and most accurate result, have someone else answer those questions for you. And same thing for if you're doing, like, I don't know, ENTP type stuff. Have someone else answer the questions about you, because we suck at being objective about ourselves. It's the same reason why you need to have a coach a lot of times. People need to have a coach because your coach is there to tell you when to pull back, because you're like, yeah, I can go. I can do this. And your coach is like, dude, no, you can't. That was actually one of the best favors that any of my coaches ever did to me, was they would stop me. Because if my coaches didn't stop me, I'm like, I snatched 105. I'm going to put 106 on the bar. And they're like, no, Chad, do not put 106 on the bar. You barely made 105. And it's like, no, I made it. It was good. And they're like, no. And I'm like, yeah, I got this. And they're like, you are done for the day. Go home. And they probably spared me a lot of injuries and stupid things because people were there to pull me back. Because we are not good about being objective. It's like that squat that you thought you were really moving. You're like, wow, that went up easy. And everyone else is looking at you like, dude, I thought you were going to die. Like, I thought your spine was going to come out your back. And you're like, I'm going to put another 50 pounds on. And they're like, no, don't do it. And you're like, yeah, I got this. I'm having a good day. I'm on. And they're like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. That was a slow and grinding rep. You're like, no, it went up fast. No, you grinded through that, dude. It was like 0.3 meters per second. Like, that was the slowest rep ever. It took you 10 minutes to stand up. Like, from the time you hit the bottom of the hole till you stood up, like, I watched the timer. It was like 10 minutes of you just grinding through it. You're like, oh, really? Because it felt like it was like 1 second. I just popped right back up, didn't I? No. Right? Because we all suck at that. That's why RPE sucks. Not that it does. There are some people who can do it. I can't. I'll squat my 1 rep max and be like, oh yeah, that was like an RP7. Yep. RP7. 100%? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could have done 3 more reps. There is no 3 more reps. There's not even 1 more rep. And I'll still tell you, oh yeah, that was a 7. That wasn't too bad. It's kind of like when I walk into the doctor's office and they're like, what's your pain on a scale of 1 to 10? And I'm like, it's like a 2. Maybe a 3. Like, if I don't breathe, yeah, that's like a 2. And they're like, your neck is broken? Like, the CT scan shows that the vertebrae is literally broken? Are you sure it's only like a 2? I'm like, yeah. You have a compound fracture. Are you sure it's only a 2? Yeah, I'm fine. Okay. Doctors have figured out to not listen to me because I give them weird answers. They're like, that's a really severe injury. Are you sure it's only a 1 or a 2? Yep, it's definitely a 1. Maybe a 2 if I breathe, but it's definitely a 1. And my doctor's like, what's wrong with this guy? My wife is always there in the background telling me, don't listen to him. He will tell you it's a 2. So, yeah. We're not good about being objective because we're emotional. We're emotional beings. We are not rational beings. All of us. It's not a criticism. Myself included. I'm not accusing other people of like, you're all emotional, but I'm not. I include myself. We're not good at being subjective. So any kind of testing, things like that, have other people answer it for you. That is your solution. That's the same reason why you want to have a coach, because a coach will tell you objectively, that was really slow, you're done. So anyways, it was a long-winded way of explaining it, but I hope it was funny. I hope it was entertaining at least. I hope you laughed a little. If not, then obviously I'm not as funny as I thought it was. See? Came full circle. If you guys like the video, If you have an opinion on this, comment below. Maybe you know a trick for being objective about yourself. Go ahead and throw it in. I'd be interested. I'd actually be very interested. I suck at being objective about myself. Very good at being objective about other people. Yeah, I can tell you when an athlete goes slow or fast. To me, everything is an RPE 7 though. So it doesn't matter what I lifted. My eyes could have popped out of my head and I had to put them back in. And I'd still be like, yeah, okay, it was like a 7.5. So if you guys like this, be sure to subscribe. Maybe we'll do a video on RPE next, and we'll talk about why RPE works for some people, because it does. It does. I am not shitting on RPE. It works for some people. But then you have people like me, and people like me will tell you that nothing's ever a 10. I can miss a squat. It can get buried, and I'm still like, yeah, well, that was probably a 9. If I would have hit it right, I would have been back up. No, you wouldn't, but you think you would. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you had a good laugh, and thank you for your time.